Hey everybody, Bridgelyn Dolgoff, Conscious Economics and Urban Farm Project. So tomorrow I upload the radio show I did with Ralph Ring and Marsha Brown. You should really listen to it. It was a fantastic show. Really felt extremely high afterward, and it expanded. And it's nice when you know people who are in an expansion phase. I'm always in an expansion phase, so I feel stuck sometimes dealing with people and not really knowing what to say. So it's nice when there can be like a group expansion. So this morning, I've been doing a lot of thinking over the last year, stuck. The word stuck keeps coming up, and how, how we are kind of stuck, and we think responsibility or security, and though those two words are good, how we're taught to use them is detrimental, and it causes us to live in a prison, mental, emotional, and physical prison. And I don't think that that's really how those words are kind of meant to be expressed. But so one of the things I was thinking about this morning is I was having some kind of mental frustration. Not a lot. I don't have a lot of mental frustration. I feel pretty good at where I'm at in my being able to communicate, and I just don't get like enraged or inflamed or any of those things. Not that I repress it, but I deal with it. I deal with it as the discomfort, dis-ease comes up. So one of the things that came up was like, okay, what is going on in my world? And now I kind of correlate it to what is it that I don't want? Because you're just going to get more of what you don't want. And even if you notice that your mind is saying, I don't want that, or your voice is saying, I don't want that, you just are going to attract more of what you don't want. And so whenever I'm looking at my life and what I'm feeling crunchita about, I kind of like, will kind of allow my mind to openly drift so that I can catch it. I can catch it, in real time. And what I caught it was, well, I actually was able to ask myself directly, what is it that you don't want? What's going on today? I mean, what's going in the I don't want world? And what I got back was, I don't want to hold on anymore until things change. I don't want to hold on, to hold it together, or do any of these kinds of things, while I'm waiting for the world to change, right? Well, that's another song. Waiting on the world to change. Anyway. But it was interesting because I was like, then what's going to be the opposite of that? Then what is it that I do want? And kind of like, I don't want is in the way of, having land and farming, and I don't want is kind of in the way of, making an income, like, have tons of education. And, I want to make it on my own. I want to make it with all of my tools and my skills. And I want to do it, myself. Maybe with working with other people or however it works out. I don't really care how the direction goes. I'm not, like we talked about on the show yesterday, I'm not going to intend the direction or create the future but right here in the present moment. So kind of thought about, being held back, holding on, um, holding it together, and all of these kinds of ideas that I don't want anymore. I'm just tired. It gets to a point where you just get kind of worn out, um, you know, with the mundane. And you think that it's going to, create change in your life or manifest something new. And it never does, because it's a cycle. It's a repetitive cycle. It's doing the same thing over and over again and expecting a different result. Insanity. So anyway, I realized, so then I said to myself, okay, so self, knowing what we know, what, what would you do now? And then this, inner voice said, let go. Well, let go isn't good enough, right? So you go into it. So here's what I don't want. And here's all the stuff that I'm doing, thinking, speaking, moving around, doing, that is continuing to activate the I don't want. So yeah, so letting go is the broker, the middleman, brokering the deal. But it's only the middle, right? It's not. And it's interesting how we get to the process and we think the forgiveness and the big letting go is the end of it. But yet the stuff comes back up and it never changes. And we're still this rat in the same cage on the same wheel. Maybe the faces have changed. Maybe the geographical area has changed. Maybe the, seasons have changed. But, ultimately the situation that we're in hasn't changed. So then I started really thinking about, so you've got I don't want, for me, holding on, holding in there, hanging on, holding it together. Okay, so then I move into the process of letting go. Then what? Then what's the other side? What's the other side? The other side. Well, that's in the being a co-creator. What's being a co-creator? Not directing your future, not having, an intent for your future, but being and, kind of checking in and seeing what I need now and what's going now in this moment, and be like, wow, it'd be really nice to have ice cream. Okay, well, when you're in that non-creating void, when you're not being the creator, and you move back into the creation and then the co-creator, so the other side is being. So you go from what you don't want to the letting go of it, and then you move on to the next stage, which is just being, which is like not letting your mind go any place, which is not, being very vocal, and if you are, being kind of more directed in the present moment, kind of feeling yourself out in every moment, like, what do I need? I need a little nap. Well, that's where God lives, if you want to call it God, or the omnipotent, because that's where the right hemisphere really, really accelerates, is in the present moment, in the midst of the creation, as you playing the co-creator, not creating. Then you move into the creator mode. And sometimes the creator mode is actually self-destructive. I mean, look at everything that we've created on this planet. We're destroying a whole planet. It's not really working out so well. So I thought, okay, well, I just need to take a time out then. So I came to one of my favorite parks where these, all I could think about was like, oh, if I could right now, where would I want to be? Where would I want to be? And there are these really big trees and this place where I can park. And then it's all grassy and it hooks up to a little walkway along the river. And so that's where I went. It's really hot out. And we came here, and, I brought the van and we opened the doors and we took a little quiet nap, kind of got back, more like a meditation nap, kind of getting myself back quieted. And then we took off and we went for this walk where, I could be really in touch with nature and creation and co-creating. And we walked, and Jen, jumped in the river, Cowabunga, and played, and we walked, and we just really came back into being. Nothing else, just being. So that's the other side of everything, because that's really all you ever want to do. I mean, I miss when I was really young, and I could go to the lake a lot with my friends and camp out for 4 or 5 days. And I mean, we did a lot of drinking and we did a lot of drugs, but we did a lot of sleeping and we did a lot of earthing, laying on the sand and swimming and giggling and laughing and dancing, and, and I miss those days where you just set up and you just be. And a lot of times when I'd show up to a lot of the camping stuff, I would sleep. I'd unpack, crawl in my tent, or crawl onto a blanket in the sun or the shade, and literally sleep, and then go to bed early that night, and then, the next day, wake up refreshed. So there was always this letting go phase, right? That letting go phase. So here you are, a human doing, I'm holding on, I'm holding on, I'm holding on, I'm holding on, I'm holding on. And then you let go. And when you let go, you probably are going to need a rest. You're going to need a long meditation. Might need a few days of sleep. Oh no, shh, we're not doing that. No, we're right here. We're being shushy. Thank you. And then you can move on to the other side of it, which is just being. And so I think, as I've been aging and have to go through legal battles for no reason, and all of these, roadblocks and everything that are set in front of you, and all these hurdles and marathons that you constantly have to run and jump, I'm pretty proud of myself, because, I've managed to actually hold on where most people would have literally off themselves a long time ago. And so I'm super proud of who I've become, and I'm super proud of what I've learned and, created in my life, and the doing part. I'm extremely proud of myself. But then now I'm at this point of where, I am tired and I am pretty exhausted, and there's really not much more that I can do on my own. And that's the key. The doing is on your own, by yourself, without the right hemisphere, the God part, all the doing and the this, that, or the other, all the action, the verbalizing, the mental, the action, your physical action, that's all doing. That's all left hemisphere, reptilian type stuff. And is it needed in this world? Of course it is. However, there's parts where we need to step into the right hemisphere, where we let go and we sleep and we rest and we feed ourselves really good food, and we're quiet, and we're kind of just more one with everything. And that's kind of what I really need to get back to. I have moments in my life where I'll do that. I'll go to a older park with older trees, especially in the summer. And then, Jen and I will put out a blanket, and I'll literally read and sleep for 3 or 4 hours on the blanket. And then when I feel, pretty refreshed, I'll get up and head out of Dodge. But I want to move into a little bit more where, 80% of my life is being. And whatever that being is going to be in that moment. And I want to get really good at being so involved with the being that I don't have to do anything, that everything shows up to me. And do I think that's possible? Hell yeah, I think it's possible. I have met so many amazing masters and gurus and teachers where they don't do anything. All they do is go, wow, I'd really like to have a bowl of soup, and think about what that soup looks like, and then bam, it's right there in their hand and they eat it. Oh, I'd really, really like it to be sunshiny out. All the clouds clear and the sun. But it takes, really strong effort and being in that moment all the time, and that clarity that is needed, and all of the doing distraction gone. And it goes back to a statement a friend of mine, mentor when I was young, said to me, you're a human being, not a human doing. So I want to be more of a human being in the present moment, not to conjure or manifest or attract, but to be so unified in it that there is nothing to do. And there's nothing to go get. There's nothing to buy. There's nothing to save. There's nothing to drive. There's nothing to fix. There's nothing to wash. That all of it just is. And it comes in that moment. Okay, so 3 stages. Whatever it is that you don't want, that you're fighting with yourself against. You'll hear yourself say it. Well, I don't want that. 2, letting go. Going into the let go phase. Maybe the depression phase, the decompressing phase. Sleep, nurturing, nesting kind of phase. And then 3, coming out the other side. Because all of the processes, all these religions and spirituality, they teach us the letting go phase, the forgiveness phase. That's it. They never talk to us about the other phase that has to come along with all of that. All right. Hope this helps. Bridget Lynn Dolgoff, Consciousness of Economics and Urban Farm Project. And coming to you from the White Buffalo, still White Buffalo, who is still, wobbling along. Just really grateful for it, because, really, there's no place that I'd rather be. It'd just be really great if somebody could help me with a new or used transmission. Anyway, if you feel like any of this helps you, I would appreciate, donations are great. And you can PayPal me consciousness of economics at gmail.com. And my website's totally effed up because of GoDaddy. I hate them. And HostGator is trying to get it served on there, so I don't have a website to offer you where I have my donation areas. Yeah, consciousness of economics at gmail.com is how you can PayPal me if you want to help me along. And I could always use some donations and help. I have a lot going on, and I do a lot. I volunteer a lot of my time and help and effort to people. And like you, if you're watching this. All right. Anyway, thanks so much. Bridget Lynn Dolgoff, Conscious of Economics and Urban Farm Project. Have a great day. Bye-bye.